Hello everyone. Let's discuss summarize spoken text task of listening today. As most of you are aware, the scoring system has changed after 7th of August. So we'll be discussing the updated strategies and strategies that can help you get full marks 90 out of 90 in listening as well as every other module. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please do support us by subscribing to our channel. We will be uploading more informative videos in the coming weeks. Let's go ahead with summarize spoken text. So a quick overview. This is a task that comes under your listening module in PTE, and this is the first task of your listening. And what you do in this task is you will be listening to an audio which is around 1 to 2 minutes long. While you listen to the audio, you are supposed to take down notes because you're not going to remember everything that you hear. So take down notes, and after the audio, you get 10 minutes time, actually including the audio. You don't get extra 10 minutes after the audio. Including the audio, you will be getting a total of 10 minutes to type your answer. So out of the 10 minutes, around 2 minutes can be taken up by the audio. So the remaining 8 minutes is for you to type the answer. How many of these do you get in the exam? As after the new updates, you will only get one summarized spoken text and 10 minutes per task. So before we go into the details of summarized spoken text, just like we do for every other module, let's see how important this task is. As you know, some of the questions in PT are high scoring, some of them have integrated scoring, which means it can impact other modules as well. And summarized spoken text is one of the questions which are highly scoring, as well as it affects another module with the scoring as well. So let's look at the score chart first. So summarized spoken text is almost the sixth or seventh important task in the whole exam. You will be getting around 25.9 marks, out of which 17 is given to writing and 8.9 is given to listening. So if you notice here, even though this task comes under the listening module, it impacts your writing more. So which is why even if you get good scores in listening, you may not get your required score in writing, especially since the new updates, the requirement for writing has increased. So this is one item which you have to focus a lot on. If possible, try to get full marks. Okay, now further details about summarized spoken text. The question is going to look like this. You will have an audio clip and there will be a box at the bottom for you to type the answer, and you will have cut, copy, paste options on the screen, which I feel like it's not very helpful here. You don't get an option to copy paste from any other pages or even from the question. You can copy paste phrases which you have already written inside the box. That's what the copy paste buttons are for. And you could also see the total word count at the bottom of the box. And you have a rule here, you're supposed to write your answer within a certain number of words. Coming to that, the scoring criteria. So you will get only one question, 10 minutes per question. There is no rollover time. That means even if you finish this summary early, let's say out of 10 minutes, you finish within 5 minutes. The remaining 5 minutes will not be added to the remaining part of listening. So there is no advantage in finishing early. Utilize the complete 10 minutes given to you. Even if you finish typing early, you should use the remaining time to proofread your answer, because this question also carries marks for your grammar, vocabulary, and spelling. And most students lose their marks in spelling and grammar only because of careless mistakes. So make sure you utilize every single minute that you have for this task to proofread and double check your answer, avoid any careless errors. And the scoring breakdown. This task is out of 12 points, and the 12 points is broken down for content, form, vocabulary, grammar, and spelling. And as you can see, the highest weightage is for your content, which is why the most important thing that you have to do here, and the best thing that you can do to make this task easy for you, is to take down as many phrases as possible from the audio. So the most important aspect is how good you are at note taking, which of course you can improve by practicing. So I'll be doing one question later. Also wait till the end of the video for the template for this task as well. I've included two different templates, one for high scorers and the one for who need anything below 7. I'll be discussing both. So in order to get the 4 points for content, you need maximum relevant information from the audio. And form, you are supposed to write only within 50 to 70 words. So even if you write an excellent answer with a lot of content, but let's say you wrote 80 words, you may end up getting 0 for the entire task. So stay within the limit, which is not really hard to do. Just write maximum 70 words, minimum 50. And if you're looking for a higher score, try to go above 65. And vocabulary. To get the 2 points for vocabulary, you're supposed to use only academic vocabulary, no slang words, no short forms in your answer. Grammar. For every grammar mistake you make, you lose 1 mark. If you make more than one grammar mistake, you lose all the 2 points for grammar. Same with spelling. If you make one spelling mistake, you lose 1 mark for spelling, and if you make more than one, you lose all the 2 points for spelling. So how can you avoid spelling mistakes? It's a common concern that many students have these days, and including trainers, because we rely so much on our mobile phones, autocorrect, prediction. So when we use mobile phones, we don't actually spell the words correctly because the mobile phone is doing it for you. So you start relying on technology so much and you start losing your skills. So when you prepare for PTE, make sure to switch off any autocorrect options or prediction options on your devices so you can start thinking about the spelling on your own and try to spell it correctly. Also, if you start reading books, that can help a lot as well. But when it comes to the task, let's say you went to the exam and you heard a word, technology, you're not sure of the spelling of technology, it's safer to avoid the word rather than write it and spell it wrong. But if technology is an important keyword, of course, you will have to include it. But any words which you know, okay, you are definitely going to spell it wrong, skip it from your answer, because if you write it, you're definitely going to lose a point. And by writing it, you're not getting any benefit because you spelled it wrong. So the computer will not take it as a keyword. Okay, now let's try a task. So I've already done this before, so I'll show you how my notes are done. I'll play the audio here.
At the heart of a thriving honeybee hive, the queen reigns as the vital source of life. Devoted to her duties, the queen tirelessly lays up to 2,500 eggs per day, amounting to an incredible 2 million throughout her lifespan. Comprising the majority of the colony, the hardworking worker bees are all female. Within a typical hive of approximately 30,000 bees, nearly 100 of them are males known as drones. With their large eyes and robust bodies, drones rely on the workers for sustenance since they lack the ability to gather pollen or nectar. As the summer wears on, the demanding labor takes its toll on the workers, who live only about 30 days before succumbing to their efforts. However, the hive remains continuously supplied with new generations of bees, eager to begin their toil from the moment they emerge.
Okay, so I have my notes here already. So as you can see here, when the speaker speaks, they would be saying around 15 to 20 sentences. You need to take down minimum 7 to 8 of them to have enough content for your answer, which means you don't have to write down everything that you hear. And it's impossible to do that unless you have excellent writing skills. You have to be really fast. So few key points to remember here. Try to listen for the important information and make a note of that using short forms. So when I wrote thriving honeybee hives, I did not try to spell thriving correctly. I just wrote THRVG because if I have that much, I can actually spell it correctly when I type my answer in the box. So make sure you practice short note taking. You don't have to spell the words correctly in your notes. That's just for you to recollect the points. Use short forms. Even if you spell it wrong, it's perfectly fine. So I've written thriving honeybee hives, which was the first point. And while they said that, while I was writing this, they moved on to another point in the audio. Do not jump between points. Try to complete what you're currently writing. Even if you miss the next one, you can get the next one after. So take every alternative points. So whatever you're writing, you can write them completely. Otherwise, if you write half of every point, when you try to fill it into the answer, you will struggle to make a whole sentence. So whatever you write it completely, wait for the next point to finish, and note down the next one that you hear. So what I've noted down here is thriving honeybee hives. Queen is the vital source of life. And if you see my notes, it's pretty messed up, but I can read my handwriting. This is another thing. When you take down notes, even if it's not too clear, you should be able to read your writing. That's another mistake that students make in the exam. When they try to look at their notes, they can't even understand what they wrote. So Queen is the vital source. I only wrote SOU of life. Queen. Next Queen, I wrote QN because I know what the word is. Lays 2500 x per day. Use the slash as a short form. Hardworking worker bees are all females. Female, I only wrote FEM. Worker, I only wrote WRKR. Short forms, males are drones. Drones rely on workers. Demanding labor during summer. Summer, I only wrote SUM. Continuously supplied by the new generation of bees, supplied SUPLD, generation GNRN. Just write the sentence as it is. Because if you use a template that says, firstly, the speaker mentioned, secondly, he elaborated, moreover, he talked about, there is nothing wrong with it. But when you use sentences like the speaker mentioned, the speaker elaborated, it is using up the space that you should be using for your content. And if you're aiming for 7 or above, you need more content and less template. But if your requirement is only 6, 6.5, or even 5, even if you use longer template sentences, it's all right. But always my recommendation would be more content, less template, especially after the new scoring updates. Okay, so the first template goes like this for high scorer, focus of the lecture. Firstly, you write the sentence as it is. Secondly, another sentence. Additionally, another sentence. Moreover, another sentence. Also, another sentence. Lastly, or hence, another sentence. So what I've done is I have used my notes, and I had written this answer before we started the video just to make it quicker. You can see my score here. I've got 4 on 4 for content, 2 on 2 for form, 2 on 2 for grammar, 2 for spelling, and 2 for vocabulary. And what I've written is thriving honeybee hives were the focus of the lecture. It's always perfect to start your answer with the topic. So instead of saying the main focus of the lecture is topic, try to say topic was the main focus of the lecture. So the first word of your answer, it's good to start with the main keyword itself. Thriving honeybee hives were the focus of the lecture. Firstly, here I just wrote firstly and I wrote the sentence which I wrote down as my content on my notes. The queen is the vital source of life in a hive. I have written exactly that in my notes. Secondly, she lays 2,500 eggs per day. Again, my notes as is. Additionally, the hardworking bees are all females and the males are drones who rely on the worker bees. So the next 3 points that I have, I just combine them using and, which just use connectors in between. So it looks like a whole long sentence. Furthermore, the demanding labor during hot summers could kill the bees. So demanding labor during summers, kill the bees, I actually remember from what I heard. So I just added it just to make it maximum. I wrote exactly 70 words here. However, the hive is constantly supplied by the new generation of bees. Constantly supplied by the new generation of bees is exactly what I wrote on my notes. So here my work was really easy because everything that I wanted to write in my answer, I had already taken down during my note taking. But let's say you're someone who is not able to take down these many notes this fast, at least take down important key phrases. Thriving honeybee hives, vital source of life, 2,500 eggs per day, hardworking bees, females, drone males. You can write down those words for sure because you don't have to write the entire sentence. If that is how you can do it, there is another template which I would recommend for below 7, and that's yeah. Again, start your answer with the topic. Topic keyword was the focus of the lecture. It provides important information about the phrase vital, let's say vital source of life, 2,500 eggs per day, as well as hardworking worker bees. It is clear from the lecture that another phrase, another phrase, and another phrase play a crucial role in the current situation. Lastly, it can be concluded that phrase, phrase, and phrase are important aspects of the lecture. So, what do you mean by phrase? Phrases ideally should be an adverb or and a verb together, or an adjective and a noun together, or a verb and a noun together. The best of these would be a verb and a noun. Hardworking worker bees, adjective and a noun, or uh, drones relying on workers, relying on workers. Relying is a verb and workers is the noun. So if you get at least two words together, one verb and a noun, or an adjective and a noun, that also will be suitable here. But one thing you need to keep in mind, if you have verbs taken down, change the verbs into the ing form. So they have mentioned the queen lays 2,500 eggs per day. But when you fit it into this template, to make it grammatically right, you should say laying 2,500 eggs per day. And they said rely on workers, relying on workers. Okay, so this will make your sentence grammatically correct as well. So I've done another answer using this template for below 7 scores. I'll show you that sample answer as well, and that's this one. Thriving honeybee hives were the focus of the lecture. It provides important information about the vital source of life. So in my previous answer, I wrote the queen is the vital source of life, a whole sentence. But here, since, okay, let's say I did not take down that much, I'm just writing the vital source of life, which is a short phrase. And queen bees laying, see, I did not write queen bees lay 2500, I changed it to and queen bees laying 2500 eggs per day. Just the phrase as it is. It is clear from the lecture that the hard-working female worker bees, short phrase, male drones, short phrase, and the drones relying. I have written in my notes, drones rely on workers, but I have changed it to the drones relying on worker bees play a crucial role. Lastly, and actually in the template it is written play a crucial role in the current situation. What I did is I removed the current situation here because my word count was going above 70, so I removed some unimportant information because I had enough notes taken down. But if you don't have these many keywords, you can still continue with the remaining part, crucial role in the current situation. Lastly, demanding labor during summer and constant supply of new generation of bees are important aspects. Again, here also in the template, it says important aspects of the lecture. But again, because I had already reached 70 words, I removed the last couple of words. So this is all you have to do in summarize spoken text to get full marks. Now let me show you a few many major mistakes or common mistakes that students make here. So I'll copy my answer and I'll make some mistakes and let's see how the score comes out. So I've okay, thriving honeybee hives were the focus of the lecture. According to the template, I have written was, but I changed it to were because thriving honeybee hives is plural. So I'm supposed to use were here and not was. But let's say you keep it as was. Let's see if I lose a point for grammar, point for grammar. It provides important information about the vital source of life. Okay, let's say I wrote the and vital close to each other without the space because these are mistakes that students make. I see it every day. And queen bee, instead of laying, I wrote queen bee lay 100 eggs per day. It is, and after full stop, let's say I forgot this space again. I wrote the next sentence immediately there. Lecture that hardworking female worker, instead of worker bees, let's say I wrote bee. Okay, this is another point you need to remember. Also a common mistake that students make. If you have keywords in your answer and if those words are countable, honeybees is a countable word. Do not write honeybee was the focus of the lecture. Honeybees where the focus of the lecture would be correct because almost all the topics in PT are general topics, and general topics normally do not speak about one particular bee. They talk about bees in general. Um, yeah, worker bees, don't write worker bee. So if you have any keyword which is countable, use it in the plural form. If you have any verbs taken down, action words, use it in the ing form. Drones relying, okay, even this drones, let me change it to drone. Relying worker bees play a crucial role. Lastly, the demanding labor during summer and constant supply of new generation. Okay, I think we have made a couple of errors now. Let's submit and see the score. So this is the answer which I had 12 on 12, and let's see what happens if I do not put the correct spacing, if I do not use plural, if I do not change was to where. See, I have lost almost 1.5, 2.5 marks over here. Even though I have all the points for content, I lost the marks for the spacing here. Actually, there are more mistakes. The computer did not pick up, but there are more mistakes. If you use was here, that's a grammar mistake. And instead of writing bees, I wrote bee here. That is also a grammar mistake. So ideally, follow the correct method. Use plural for words which are countable. Use ing for verbs or action words. Put the correct spacing between words. After full stop, after comma, don't forget the space. So that's pretty much it, guys. Again, just a reminder, please subscribe to our channel for more informative videos. We'll be coming up with more and more videos in the coming weeks. Thank you for listening. Enjoy practicing and get 90 on 90. Thank you.